played at the Choctaw Card Player main event for $1,100, which I had a vlog about that last week, and I got a ton of comments about a particular hand that I played early on where I called with a set of jacks on the river. So my son Billy and I are going to break this down poker guys style. So we're going to break this down street by street, and we will start with pre-flop. So the pre-flop action went, I was under the gun with pocket jacks. I bet 400. Leon Tran, very, very aggressive Asian guy. He was the chip leader. He called, and then just a guy who's probably a decent player, just an average player, a guy that plays in a lot of tournaments, was in the cutoff, and he made the call, and then the blinds folded.
So, pre-flop action, Mr. Bill, I think the raise could be bigger, but it's no big deal.
Yeah, I think it was a standard raise. I want to make sure my raises are the same no matter whether I have aces or whether I have 5-6. So, standard raise.
So, under the gun +1 calling with ace-queen, I think that's fine, but he could 3-bet it if he wanted, but under the gun is strong range, so...
Leon was terribly aggressive. I am absolutely shocked he didn't raise with ace-queen. So I don't think Leon ever has 9s through aces. He's going to raise on those. He never has ace-king. I'm actually shocked that he has ace-queen. I thought he would have raised for sure with ace-queen. He did not. Personally, I think that he should to find out where he's at, but he did not.
So the average Joe calling in the cutoff, I hate it. When he just calls, it gives the blinds great odds to call, so he's just asking to go 5 ways to the flop.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I don't know why he didn't raise the pocket wings. Although I will say, when the blinds are small like this in a big tournament, a lot of guys like to trap, and maybe that's what he's thinking. I don't know. Either that or he's scared. But he never, ever has aces or kings. I'm kind of surprised he has queens. I probably would have said that he would only have queens. He would bet them 50% of the time and not bet them 50% of the time. And other than that, he probably has like a smaller pair, connectors, probably only big connectors. I doubt this guy's going to play many suited connectors.
And the only upside to this is it balances your range, and he's really under-repped.
Really under-repped. Okay, so we go to the flop. There's 1,425 in the flop, and it comes 9 of spades, 6 of diamonds, 2 of spades. I continuation bet for 800. Leon calls, and average Joe calls.
So after the flop, we think that C bet is fine. It's standard.
Standard.
Sizing's fine. Tran floating with ace queen. I think it's fine if he has a plan because he does have the ace of spades and he has 2 overs. If he thinks Mr. Bill is weak and he thinks average Joe will fold if he calls, then this is a fine play.
So let me talk about Leon for just a minute. I think floating with ace-queen is just fine, especially with the ace of spades. I'll tell you what I don't think he ever has, though. Remember, I threw out 9s pre-flop. So he could have a set of 6s. He could have a set of 2s. I think either of those. Although, I think he probably would bet them with the spades on the board. Don't you think he would? Probably.
But
he could, but I don't think he has that very often. I don't think he ever has 2 spades here. I don't think he ever has a flush draw. I don't think he ever has 7-8. Leon was extremely aggressive. So if he's got a flush draw or if he's open-ended, I think he bets either one of those. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So average Joe calling after it goes bet call, we do not like at all.
It's horrible. It's just horrible. It's one of the reasons I lost the hand.
He's so under-repped that he can raise here and get called by almost all hands that are worse than him.
Not only that is, if he has pocket queens, which we end up knowing later on that he has, he is just inviting an ace or a king to come on the turn and have a losing hand. It is a horrible, horrible play.
The only thing he's losing to right now is sets, really.
Yeah, and again, I could have a set of 9s. Again, I don't think Leon ever has a set of 9s. He would have raised pre-flop. Either one of us could have sets of 6s or sets of 2s, but neither one of us ever have 2 pair, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not raising with 9-6 or 9-2 or 6-2 under the gun. Leon's not calling with that. So 2 pair is basically out. He's only losing to sets, which is really, really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's 32.25 in the pot, and the turn brings us the Queen of Spades. So it brings a spade draw in and overcard to my jacks. So I check, Leon checks, Average Joe in the cutoff then bets tiny, 600. I make the call, and Leon makes the call.
So Mr. Bill's check is fine. The Queen of Spades is a terrible card for us. It brings an overcard and brings the flush in.
Don't like it.
Yeah, so checking's fine there. Tran checking is, I guess it's fine. I don't really, if I was in his situation, I wouldn't think Average Joe is gonna bet. So I think betting here would be better, but checking's fine.
And I think that the check is fine. It's interesting to me because Leon was very aggressive. He has the ace of spades. He has top right here. So I think though that Average Joe was playing relatively tight, so he thought that Joe could have a flush here, and if I bet into him, I'm just going to lose my chips. So I think that's why he didn't, and that makes sense. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So then when it gets to Average Joe, he bets 600 into 32.25, which is just terrible sizing.
It's horrible.
It doesn't get any value. It doesn't deny any equity, and there's almost no hands are going to fold to this bet.
It's just horrible. 600 into 32.25. So is any random spade going to call this? Absolutely. I mean, again, it's just, a gutter ball straight's going to call anything. I call next because I'm getting 7-1. At 7-1, it's possible my jacks are good. Probably not, but at 7-1, I'm going to take a shot at it. And I also can bluff if a good bluff card comes.
When he bets 600, he doesn't ever have a low flush. He might have the ace high flush and bet this small, but it's just...
Yeah, it's horrible. And then Leon has actually the interesting one that says, now what does he do here on a bet of 600?
So I think when he bets only 600, I think he should raise.
I do too.
Because he has top with the ace of spades. And
everybody here is showing weakness. Even the guy that bets 600. So if I am Leon and I'm watching this player play, and again, he was one of those guys that plays relatively tight guys will also fold good hands. And so I think if Leon had made a raise here, again, he's got top, he's got the ace of spades. I think if he makes a big raise here, if he makes it 2,500 here, I think that he actually would have gotten both of us to fold.
I don't think he's folding top set, but
I think there's a good possibility that
This is the best hand Average Joe can show up with in this spot, I think.
Yeah, but can he call what he may perceive then as a check raise on a flush? I don't know. I don't know if that guy could have done it or not. But I certainly think that if you're Leon, that you could have made the case for making a raise here. Okay, the river's quite a doozy. This is where I got all the comments on my previous video. Unbelievable. All right, so the river has 56.25 in it, and it comes the Jack of Clubs, making me a set of jacks. I check.
So a check is fine, but I think leading out here with a blocker bet would be a pretty cool play. We think the player to his left, Leon Tran, has some combinations of straights that gutter balls that just came in, King 10 and 10-8, but I don't think there's enough there to not bet, and I don't even know if he would raise a straight there with the flush on the board. And
that's really the only reason. If I wouldn't bet, if I bet thinking, okay, I'm only going to lose this amount of money, but he's going to fold if he's worse than me, and he's not going to raise a straight, then I agree with that.
And so Average Joe in the cutoff, we think we're ahead of almost all of his range. We think he has some flushes, but I don't think he would raise anything other than a flush. So if he does raise, I think we could get away from it.
Yeah, and I understand that thinking. I'm not opposed to that. I still think the check is okay, but I could understand a bet there too. Okay. Then Leon checks. I think that's fine.
Check's fine. He only has one pair.
Yeah.
But the one thing about it is it does tighten up his range a lot.
Yeah, so we know, for example, I now know Leon doesn't have a straight. Leon was so aggressive that he would have bet a straight for sure. Okay, so after Leon checked, then Joe bets 1,600 into 56.25.
Finally, a good bet by Average Joe.
Average Joe did the right thing.
So,
I actually thought this was a good bet.
Mm-hmm.
I had shown weakness. Leon had shown weakness.
But it's not too big to where he doesn't get called by worse hands.
Yeah, and he might get some value out of some two pairs, lesser sets. If somebody makes a raise, which you're going to find out here in a minute, then he knows where he is. All right, so then it comes to me. I make the call. So when Leon checked, I said he no longer has straights. I had taken him off of a flush long before that. Originally, I thought this should have been a raise. Billy convinced me that maybe it shouldn't be.
You would only get called by flushes.
Yeah, and so here's the range that we give Joe. Again, I think I'm beating Leon every single time now. I put it on the screen here. So if you see that, I've actually got two sets of ranges there. One without pocket queens and one with pocket queens. Remember, I had said on the turn that, no, I said on the flop, no, the flop, that he doesn't have pocket queens. Who would not raise with pocket queens? So I had actually taken them away. But since he had them, I'm going to show you the numbers here to the side where he either has queens or he doesn't have queens. So you can see, without queens, I'm ahead of 12 out of 17 hands. The only hands I'm losing to are the ace high flush and the king high flush. But I'm beating all the sets and two pair. With queens, I'm beating all of the same things. I lose to the flushes, I beat the sets, beat the two pairs, and I lose to the set of queens. I am basically, at this point, I'm ahead either 71% if I don't give him the queens, or even if I give him the queens, I still am 60% ahead of him to win. So I think it's a call. Actually, again, I thought it should have been a raise. Billy convinced me that if I raise here and he happens to have the nut flush,
if you raise, you don't get called by anything worse than you.
Yeah, I only get called by something better. So good point. All right, so then it comes to Leon, and Leon bets 4,800.
So he now knows that he is not ahead right now. But he does have the ace blocker, the nut flush blocker, and he blocks top set. So we think a raise here is pretty cool, but he didn't tell the best story. No.
I actually really, from his perspective, I really like the raise. He knows now that he can't win. And this is a big pot for this early in the tournament. This is only 75-150, and there's already 56-25 in the pot. Actually, there's more than that now because of the 3,200 more. So there's now 8,800 in the pot when it comes to him. I really like his raise.
The only thing I don't like, as well as the story, but he needs to make it a lot bigger.
I would agree with that. So, in fact, if he'd have made it bigger, he'd have gotten Joe out. Honestly, he still wouldn't have gotten me out. I had already made up my mind that I was ahead of him. He can't have a straight here. He didn't have a flush because of something else. I'm never giving him pocket queens for a set of queens. So from my perspective, I was calling no matter what if it was just him. Actually, I may have even raised. Who knows? But from his perspective, I really like it. It's the only way you can win. I agree with you. I think it should have been 6,000. Okay, so now it comes back to Average Joe.
And call here is standard. Leon hadn't shown very much strength throughout the hand, so
neither one of us had.
We think he's ahead a lot of the time.
Yeah, I honestly, absolutely shocking and surprising that he made the call. Because if he has the nut flush, like we've given him some of those hands, he absolutely would have raised it. Leon knows he doesn't have the nut flush. We don't know if he would have raised though with the king high flush, right?
Yes. So when it comes to Mr. Bill, we eliminate all those combinations of nut flush, and I guess we can leave the king high flush.
Yeah, we'll get there in a minute. But the point was, should Joe have raised, or should he have called? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I think absolutely. So too. I mean, I think he should have. So now it comes to me. Excuse me. All right. So now that Average Joe did not raise. I know he doesn't have the nut flush. That'd be the absolute nuts, right? So now I can take 3 of those combos away. So now, if I don't give him the queens, I beat 12 out of 14 hands that he can have, 86%. And if I even give him the queens, which again, I eliminated on a previous streak because of the way he acted, I still beat 12 out of 17 hands that he could have, and I still win 71%. Originally, again, I thought this should be a raise. Billy convinced me that no, the only hand that's going to call you is the nut flush, which beats me. So I agree with you. It's not, but I think it's absolutely a call here when I think that I'm ahead. I thought I was ahead 86% of average Joe, and I thought I was 100% ahead of Leon. So I thought that was a fine play.
We think the call here is perfect play.
Yeah.
Fine play.
So how do you think that people played on this hand? Let's take them one by one.
So I think Leon's play was pretty creative, and sometimes it's going to work depending on who it's against, but I don't really think he told the best story there.
Agree.
So
I actually I thought he made the right decision on most of the streets. I liked his raise a lot, again, from his perspective. He was the chip leader. He was very, very aggressive. That did nothing. This hand did absolutely nothing to change his reputation. In fact, it just enhanced it. But I thought he played fine. All right, how about Joe?
So we think average Joe did not play very well, except for the river. We think the other streets he did not make the right decisions.
I think he played really, really horribly, which just tells you that sometimes you can play poorly and still get the result that you want, but I don't think Joe played this very well at all. Not raising pre-flop with pocket queens, don't like it. The flop comes 9 high, and somebody bets a standard continuation bet, and then he doesn't raise. That's just inviting an ace or a king to come. The turn with 600 into 3,200, again, just inviting flushes and straights to beat you. So I think he played poorly. He did play fine on the river, and that was a fine. But he's very, very fortunate to win with the cards that came out because he played queens really poorly. Okay, and yours truly, Mr. Bill. I personally thought that I played fine. I thought quite a bit about, especially Leon, what could have me beat. Why did Leon do this? Why did Leon? And of course, I did that with average Joe also. Because he played unorthodox, I did not give him the hand that actually beat me. But I thought that I played well. Originally, I thought that I should have been more aggressive in raise, but Billy actually, going through this, recognized that no, I can't do that because the only hands that call me are the nut flush or a flush that beats me. So I actually thought I played very, very well. I think the percentages bore that out. That's it. That's all you had to say about how I played?
Yeah.
I'm your father.
I would have liked to see a donk on the river.
You'd like to see a what?
A donk on the river. But the way you played it was fine. You didn't have to get too crazy. It's early in the tournament, so I think the way you played is fine.
How about, was it really good?
No.
Was it excellent?
Decent.
I think it was great. Okay, so that's what Billy and I thought. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that I played well? Do you think that average Joe played horrible like we thought? What about Leon? Should he have done something different? Love to get your comments. This is the kind of in-depth analysis that I really enjoy. This is the first one we've done together. Did you like it?
I did.
I thought it was fun. Now, we go over hands like this sometimes, although not to the detail we did this time. This has taken us over 2 hours to do. But it's really been interesting. It's Billy changed my mind about a few things. I actually convinced him about the percentages that I was ahead. So it was really good, and we will definitely be doing more of this. So you know who should watch out for us? Who, Billy? The poker guys. Oh. The poker guys should watch out because we could be the new poker guys. We could be the poker dad and son. So Grant and Jonathan, watch out. You got Bill and Bill on your tail. No, actually, we're doing it this style because we really, really enjoy the Poker Guys videos. I think they're fantastic. They've actually taught me quite a lot by watching their videos. So we're actually going to put a link to their page in the comments below. So take a look at those guys. They're really awesome. Billy, thanks, bud. That was fun. I enjoyed it. All right. Hopefully you guys will see some more of this again soon. Bye. No bye from Billy, evidently.